My name is Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller, United States Marine Corps. I'm the current battalion commander for Advanced Infantry Training Battalion. I've been in the Marine Infantry for 17 years. Started my tour with Victor 1-8. It's the current unit that's doing perimeter security, dealing with the mess that's going on there. You can see open source reporting that there was an explosion and some people were killed. I know through my inside channels that one of those people that were killed was someone that I have a personal relationship with. Won't go into more details because the families are still being notified. Not making this video because it's potentially an emotional time. Making it because I have a growing discontent and contempt for my perceived ineptitude at the foreign policy level, and I want to specifically ask some questions to some of my senior leaders. And I'll say, as a person that's not at 20 years, I feel like I have a lot to lose. If you play chess, you can only see 2 to 3 moves out because there's too many variables. I thought through if I post this video, what might happen to me, especially if the video picks up traction, if I have the courage to post it. But I think what you believe in can only be defined by what you're willing to risk. So if I'm willing to risk my current battalion commander seat, my retirement, my family's stability, to say some of the things that I want to say, I think it gives me some moral high ground to demand the same honesty, integrity, accountability from my senior leaders. And so I want to start with, we'll just use the Marine Corps. We'll just stick with the Marine Corps. So in the current fallout of Afghanistan, a lot of Marines were posting on social media, and in response to that, the Commandant published a letter, which is the service chief of the Marine Corps. And I want to read from it. It was dated 18 August, so only a week ago. The Commandant, sir, you wrote, "Some of you may be struggling with a simple question. Was it all worth it? We want you to know that your service was meaningful, powerful, and important. You fought for the Marine to your left and the Marine to your right. You never let them down." Then you go on to say that, if we're struggling, we should seek counseling, which, I get it. People have killed people. I've killed people, and I seek counseling, and that's fine. There's a time and place for that. But the reason people are so upset on social media right now is not because the Marine on the battlefield let someone down. That service member has always rose to the occasion and done extraordinary things. People are upset because their senior leaders let them down, and none of them are raising their hands and accepting accountability or saying, we messed this up. If an 05 battalion commander has the simplest live fire incident EO complaint, boom, fired. But we have a Secretary of Defense that testified to Congress in May that the Afghan National Security Force could withstand the Taliban advance. We have chairmen of Joint Chief, who the Commandant is a member of that, who's supposed to advise on military policy. We have a Marine combatant commander. All of these people are supposed to advise, and I'm not saying we've got to be in Afghanistan forever, but I am saying, did any of you throw your rank on the table and say, hey, it's a bad idea to evacuate Bagram Airfield, the strategic air base, before we evacuate everyone? Did anyone do that? And when you didn't think to do that, did anyone raise their hand and say, we completely messed this up? I've got battalion commander friends right now that are posting similar things, and they're saying, wondering if all the lives were lost and if it was in vain, all those people that we've lost over the last 20 years. And he goes on to say that we're all part of a chain. While every link may not be tested, the strength of the chain is only as strong as each link, and you got to be, good link, something like that. And what I'll say is, from my position, potentially all those people did die in vain if we don't have senior leaders that own up and raise their hand and say, we did not do this well in the end. Without that, we just keep repeating the same mistakes. This amalgamation of the economic / corporate / political / higher military ranks are not holding up their end of the bargain. I want to say this very strongly. I have been fighting for 17 years. I am willing to throw it all away to say to my senior leaders, I demand accountability.
Hey everybody, Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller coming at you from an abandoned school bus in eastern North Carolina. If you know me, you know. I've been overwhelmed by the outpouring of support over the last 72 hours since I made some statements in the public. I've also really appreciated the candor and the opposition, the people who think I should have handled it differently. I think the debate is healthy, and I appreciate and respect all sides of the conversation. But after I've meditated on everything, my higher purpose, my path, the path of the Marine Corps, United States, I've come to a place where I feel at peace with making some further statements, and that's the purpose of this video. You know, I'm not a religious guy, and I don't know if it's the outpouring of people and all the support that I've had, but part of me feels like everything in the last 25 years of my life may have happened to bring me to this point right now. Whether it's my entrepreneurial success, whether it's my combat experiences, whether it's the people that I've had in my life, they've all played a part in my successes and failures have brought me to this moment. So before I get to exactly what I want to say, I have two administrative notes. The first one is I just want to clarify my legal status. I have been relieved of my command, but I am still a United States Marine. Currently, I am not pending legal action. I think the plan was to hide me away for 3 years, let an investigation take place, but not send me to a board of inquiry where they would have separated me on other than honorable conditions. And so I had the choice where I could remain silent, keep my retirement for 3 years, and quite honestly, live the dream for not many responsibilities in terms of leaning into the next thing, if that's what I so chose. The other thing is in terms of donations, lots of people have set up GoFundMe pages and want donations and contribute to the cause because they're all want to believe in something. I'll tell you right now, I haven't set up a single GoFundMe, and I'm not asking for any money. There'll be a time for that. If you want to donate, please donate to the families of the lost service members from the attacks over the last 72 hours. The only other pitch I'll give is after I post this video, my wife, I love you. You're a great mother. You've been down for the cause for the last 17 years. I don't know what decisions you're going to make in the next 72 hours. If anyone does want to donate, I'd ask that you just donate directly to her. We're not going to do GoFundMes, just to clarify. There's no GoFundMes for me or my family. But my wife's PayPal is Jacqueline, spelled Jacklyn, Scheller, spelled as my last name, @gmail.com, or her Venmo, Jacqueline-Scheller. Okay. I have two social media platforms, LinkedIn and Facebook, and there is a little bit of a difference between the two of them. Right now, I'm overwhelmed with followers based on recent events, but general officers, colonels seem to prefer LinkedIn over Facebook for whatever reason. And so if you were to look back at my LinkedIn, the core 1,000 that I had was all colonels and generals and field grade officers, and the conversation in those posts are a little bit different. And everybody's got an opinion, but there's one specific comment that I want to address. Going back to my earlier comment about maybe everything happened for a reason. When I was a young captain, I worked for a man named Lieutenant Colonel Hobbs, and we went through some things together, and he, many people don't know, was actually relieved as an 06 for standing up for moral things that he thought was right, and he did it within the system, as a lot of people have implored me to do, and he was just shuffled out the door without really affecting any change. And then after he exited the Marine Corps, he's made a lot of controversy by talking about racial diversity and equal opportunity problems in the Marine Corps. And from that respect, I have adamantly disagreed with him. But just because we have different opinions doesn't mean I don't respect him. Sir, I love you like a father. And you made a comment on one of the posts on LinkedIn without giving anyone context of who you were or what our relationship was. And you said if Stuart Scheller was honorable, he would resign his commission. Of all the noise going out there, that one comment has just played through my head. If Stuart Scheller was honorable, he would resign his commission. You didn't say is as if in challenging me. you said was as if you assumed I wouldn't do it. I want to make the announcement today. After 17 years, I'm currently not pending legal action, and I could stay in the Marine Corps for another 3 years, but I don't think that's the path I'm on. I'm resigning my commission as a United States Marine effective now. I'm sure there's some MAR admin on how I'm supposed to do that, and I'll work through that. But I am forfeiting my retirement, all entitlements. I don't want a single dollar. I don't want any money from the VA. I don't want any VA benefits. I'm sure I'm entitled to 100%. I, breathed on the smell and smoke of burning shit for years. I don't want any of it. All I asked for was accountability of my senior leaders when there are clear, obvious mistakes that were made. I'm not saying we can take back what has been done. All I asked for was accountability, for people to comment on what I said and to say, yes, mistakes were made. And had they done that, I would have gone back into rank and file, submitted, and accomplished what I wanted. The morning after I posted my video and I came into work, my boss came in and he asked me, what were you trying to accomplish? And that was a very tough question for me. And my response was, I want senior leaders to accept accountability. I think them accepting accountability would do more for service members in PTSD and struggling with purpose than any other transparent piece of paper or message. And I haven't received that. For the over $2 million that I would potentially receive in retirement for the rest of my life, for the however much extra the disability would be, I think that money should go back to all the senior general officers because I think they need it more than I do. Because when I am done with what I'm about to do, you all are going to need the jobs and the security. I want to be clear that I love the Marine Corps. I think, there's been a fascination with Special Forces over the last 15 years. Special Forces people that come in the middle of the night and they kill the biggest targets that the United States has, and I have much respect. I worked in MARSOC for a year, but what I'll say is the conventional Marine on the ground who has to smell burning shit, who, when I was in Ramadi, I was exposed to it so much that burning shit actually smelled like bacon and eggs, and I grew to enjoy the smell. Those people who are there every day and don't get to leave the next morning or in the middle of the night, who go outside the wire, get blown up, bring their Marine back, and then go back out there the next day, they don't get the credit they deserve, and they deserve accountability. If Stuart Scheller was honorable, he would resign. You have no idea what I'm capable of doing. To all the congressmen, senators, every media station across the globe, to all the rich philanthropists, I appreciate the support, and I'm going to need your support. To the Bellwether Alliance, I'm a coin-carrying member. We have all these laws on how to create wealth. The one thing they don't tell you is that going after stability and money can make you a slave to the system, and it can make you compromise what you truly believe in. I don't need a single dollar. I just need every single person that's willing to go back outside the wire every single day, to wear a blue collar and just go into work every single day and feed their families. Those are the people that I need. Follow me, and we will bring the whole fucking system down. I am honorable, and you can ask any Marine who served with me for 17 years. I dare you to ask them all and find out what I'm made of. We're just getting started.
Hey, Lieutenant Colonel Stu Scheller. I am still, as I'm making this message, a United States Marine infantry officer. I've been advised through the legal channels that continued challenges to the military
and political leadership could result in pretrial confinement and or escalation of my legal situation, which I'll get into momentarily. But I thought that this message, being the culmination of everything I put together up to this point, was important enough that I wanted to put it out, and I hope that if you support me, you'll share this message because it's that important. To recap my position in the fallout of Afghanistan, I demanded accountability of my senior leaders. And I stated then that I understood that I might lose my battalion commander seat, my retirement, and my family stability. As it has played out, I have in fact lost all three of those things. Would I do it again? I don't know. But I can't explain to you why I made that decision at that moment. Looking at the organizations that are so dear to me, the military establishment and the political establishment of the American government, I was seeing key leaders that weren't being held accountable and were abusing their positions of power at the expense of the everyday American. And everything that I fought for is counter to that. The future that my sons are going to grow up in is contingent upon the organization being able to evolve, which only happens through accountability. Update on my legal situation. So the Marine Corps has offered me a very fair deal. Instead of court-martial, they've offered me non-judicial punishment for violation of 2 articles, as long as I'm willing to resign my commission, give up my retirement, and accept a general discharge under honorable conditions, which is pretty fair. But the deal hasn't been signed. I haven't agreed to it, neither have they, and I acknowledge that making this video might destroy that deal. And if the Marine Corps, after this video, decides they want to go in a different direction, I'm prepared to go in that direction and see where it goes. Believe it or not, I don't want to start controversy. I didn't make it 17 years in the Marine Corps and as a battalion commander by saying whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. But as I sat here and looked at the fundamental changes that needed to take place in our key organizations, I just didn't see anyone else speaking up. To all the retired generals that wrote a very strongly worded letter to the current military establishment asking for resignations, I asked that those general officers show themselves, be prepared to give up their retirement and fight with me. If not, I do think that there are some inspirational voices still left in the political establishment. Reference Congressman Mast, Congressman Crenshaw's testimony against Secretary of State Blinken. I was inspired by some of those lines of questioning. However, I don't think that their voices are enough to spark the change that's required within the military establishment. Hence the reason I'm wearing this uniform now and making this video, because I think there's a fundamental change that needs to take place, and somehow we're missing it. The reason I can't let it go, and the reason I am not just taking the offer and quietly exiting out of the Marine Corps, is because I feel like there are general officers in our institution that aren't being held accountable. For example, Secretary of State Blinken just testified in Congress and got beat up, justifiably, but why General McKenzie, who was the CENTCOM commander from Trump to Biden, didn't have to answer those same tough questions. Afghanistan has been a DoD run and led mission for the last 20 years. Why the Department of State is taking the face shots to the fall is beyond me. I think it may have to do with the post-Vietnam generation that feels the need to show respect to service members to the expense of not offering criticism that I think our General Officer Corps rightfully needs. I think history has demonstrated that general officers don't always have the right answer. Before I get into my way forward, there's one other comment I want to make, and that's to General Berger, the Commandant of the Marine Corps. General Berger, sir, your pivot and transition to the next fight, I think, is admirable, and I think it's for all the right reasons. But I offer to you, if you can't hold senior leaders accountable, then it's all for nothing. You had a predecessor that talked about an awakening. He talked about the role of the Commandant was to protect the very soul of the Marine Corps. But he focused on the NCOs that, in my opinion, have fought very bravely and valiantly for the last 20 years. I do believe there's an awakening that needs to take place, but it's not at the NCO level. It's at the general officer level, the people that are not being held accountable, the people that are leading this organization. And I ask that you use your leadership to use some introspection and look at the problems that are occurring. I'd also like to address General McKenzie. Sir, you made comments that are public record on August 31st that stated you made bad assumptions, that you left hundreds of Americans in Afghanistan, and then you itemized pieces of equipment that total hundreds of millions of dollars. I know you are a great American. I know you didn't intend to fail. I know you have served very honorably and are probably a great leader. But that doesn't absolve you from the accountability of your bad assumptions. I am announcing, well, I've read the entire UCMJ in the last 2 weeks of my purgatory and all the punitive articles, and it turns out that all military officers are subject to the UCMJ. It's because it appears to me that no general officers are willing to hold each other accountable. I am submitting charges against General McKenzie for his bad assumptions. Not because I'm vindictive, but because the senior leaders need to be held accountable to the same standard as us. I will drop the charge sheet so you can see my legal argument on social media. I will route it through my chain of command. I will also route it directly to the former Raytheon board director, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin. And then concurrently, I will file an IG complaint, and then we'll just see where that goes. Additionally, I'm starting a foundation to raise money through the Pipe Hitter Foundation. We'll drop the link. It'll be live on Monday, where people can donate to my family that's moving on to the next chapter, and also to raise legal fees for the legal argument I'm making against the CENTCOM commander. I love America. I love the Constitution. I love Americans. But we can't all be wrong. You only have the power because we allow it. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller, and I was the only officer in the entire American coalition fired in the debacle of the Afghanistan fallout. I acknowledge that I should have been fired. However, the hypocrisy of the general officers who are not being held to the same standard is a microcosm for the entire problem that is going to bring down the great institutions of this republic that we love. I implore you, please use some introspection to fix the problem that I am trying to vocalize.